Something about the way that the snow goes onto the mountains and trees just really makes me happy. I also found out that I am Sami, which is native Norwegian. But this beauty is at risk. If we do not act soon, we will lose it forever. Now, how did that sentence make you feel? It did not make me feel good. But that's all that we hear about our world nowadays, that it's all dying, that it's going downhill, that we're all going to lose it soon. We're shown starving children in Africa and dead sea animals on the coast, and just practically guilted into doing something. But guess what? In each year, there's 8,760 hours. Of course, only 4,380 of those we spend awake, which is half of it. But it only takes an hour of beach cleaning to save many ocean animals. However, non-renewable things like fuels, coal, and Italian marble countertops should not be taken for granted. For some help, I will go back to Norway a few hundred years ago, and here we meet the Vikings. These people were warriors, and their ships, because of their genius construction, could take them to England, but also all the way across the Atlantic. And the ships were very thin so that they could fit into all of the little rivers and inlets that Norway has. The ships were discovered in the late 1800s, and they're now in a museum in Oslo. But what was the Vikings' secret? They probably ran into a lot of trouble on these long quests. But I think that their secret lies in their name. In Norwegian, avvike is a verb which means to yield. There are many other ways that the Vikings could have gotten their name. But I think that it comes from vik, which means bay, inlet, and creek. Vik sounds like avvike, and the reason that vike comes from bay, inlet, or creek is because the water yields to the land. Now, I think that the Vikings were able to conquer all of the issues on these quests. There's more than one reason why the Vikings are so famous. First of all, they made trips further than anyone at the time, from the Mediterranean to Turtle Island, which is a native term for North America. But I think that another reason that they got to be so famous is because they yielded. Instead of getting all worked up over very small and instead of getting very worked up over things that weren't a big deal, they yielded. And they accepted, and they did not resist. And they knew that the only thing that you can control is how you react. Now, here is a mixed message. You can control everything, but the only thing you can control is how you react. Confusing. I found it that way. Here it is. We get what we think about. This is because we get so used to the thought and the feeling that our surroundings adapt. And we have been thinking about how bad our world is, how bad we think it is, and our surroundings have adapted. But if we perpetuate good energy, it will spread across our planet, and maybe to other planets too. That is why for my project, I use matryoshkas, Russian nesting dolls, instead of a canvas to show the many good things that people are doing already. Some of them just show the beauty of nature, others show what people are doing to help. Here are some examples. In Bali, 2 sisters worked very hard to ban plastic bags. And in Malawi, a boy built a windmill or turbine out of spare parts in a junkyard and brought clean energy to his village. And the smallest of my matryoshkas are some of the native birds to that continent. Here they are in real life. Now, according to Millennium Development Goals report and Our World in Data, look at how much better our world has gotten. Look at how the pay in developing countries has gone up, which means less people living in poverty. and how the under 5 mortality rate has decreased. And in 1820, only 12% of the population could read and write. Now that's 83%. Our literacy rate climbs 4% every 5 years. We could have a fully literate world by around 2041. But why wait? We can speed this up. Now, these numbers are still not perfect. Having 1 in 10 people living in poverty is unacceptable. But at this rate, look at how great our world will be by the end of the century. With lower fertility rates, the population of humans is expected to peak in 2070 and decline from there. With less people come less problems, and we can decrease those problems. There are articles I have found online that we are doing much better than we think. Read those articles. They are worth your time. But only 10% of Sweden, next to Norway, thinks that the world is getting better. Think of that. 90% of Sweden thinks that the world is getting worse. Can you imagine all that bad energy? But then there is this. Only 6% of the United States thinks that the world is getting better. And 316.7 million more people live in the United States than in Sweden. 94% of our very own country thinks that the world is getting worse. And those are just 2 countries. So what about you? Are you in the 94% or the 6%? I just showed you a bunch of good energy, and if you're still in the 94%, well, that's your choice. But I think that if more people can be in that 6%, we can make it more than 6. One of my favorite quotes is by Niebuhr. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My dad bought me a magnet of that for, I think, my 10th birthday. We can focus on all of the amazing things that we are doing already. But the news would rather give us the headline shooting at church kills 8 than church community plants peace garden and people bond and share good energy. And why? Because they want companies to pay to advertise on their channels, and they want people to buy their newspapers. The media programs us with bad news and bad energy and brainwashes us. But we easily can change this. Stop watching the news channel and stop buying the newspaper. They are as addictive and evil as cigarettes, and your time was built for better things than all that bad energy. As soon as you walk out of this theater, read some good articles, get some good energy, and don't worry, be happy.
Something else to say.
Worry is the anticipation of something bad in advance. Why anticipate something bad? Why do it when you can anticipate something great? In Norway, it's becoming more beautiful by the second. So is the planet, gradually. But one thing is for sure, worrying does not help in any way. So remember, the power of positive thinking is yours. Use it. Woohoo!